Hello and welcome to Y Media exclusive interview. I'm here with Jannat Garewal. She is the Liberal candidate in Brampton East. Hello, Jannat. How are you today?
Hello, I'm great. Thank you for having me on the show. And Sasrika Saryanu, I hope to talk to you about our Liberal platform and why I'm running today.
Fantastic. So tell us a bit about yourself in terms of your personal and professional experiences that best position you to be a candidate and potentially the MPP in Brampton East.
So my name is Jannat Garewal. I'm the Liberal candidate for Brampton East, and I have completed my BSc in Biological Sciences and my minor in Physical Sciences. I've also done a post-baccalaureate certificate in pain management. However, I took a job at Queen's Park in 2017 as a regional advisor to the Golden Horseshoe, which includes Peel, Halton, Hamilton, and Niagara, which actually showed me that my passion was really in education and making sure that children have the best possible support when they're going through their educational journey. Which brings me today, I'm running because I'm pushing for education standards to be higher, healthcare funding, and small businesses support in Brampton East, as well as keeping our community safe. There's so many issues that we have been going through in the last 4 years, but also the last 12 years under our NDP leadership. So it is so important during this election that we focus on the community's needs, the issues that they are facing, and bringing real results to the table at this time.
And what are you hearing at the doors as you knock the doors and people come to your campaign office?
We're hearing a lot of issues about crime these days. There's a carjacking in certain areas, and you hear about it almost at every third house. I actually talked to a concerned mother the other day in the Mountain Ash area, and she was, after 8 p.m., people are scared to open their doors. And so she was like, we don't even know tomorrow if our car will be there. And that is a huge concern for a lot of people in Brampton. And it's not just about the car being gone. It's about, not feeling safe in their own driveways. It's about, not being able to know if your family will be safe, or if you're living in a community that safety is a huge concern. Everyone who goes home wants to feel safe at home. That's where you live, that's where you cook, that's where you eat. So safety is a huge concern right now. So we want to make sure that we're doing whatever it takes to make families in Brampton East feel safe, children feel safe so they can play on the streets. And we want to make sure we are doing what we can. So I have also worked with a regional counselor in our riding to make sure that we bring a Peel Police Community Service Station to the Gore Meadows Community Center. And that, I think, will allow a lot more patrolling and a higher response rate, but I do plan on working with our provincial counterparts when elected so that we can bring more safety to our streets.
What is the Liberal plan when it comes to safety?
So the Liberal plan is to add more funding to safety. Right now we need to add more funding, we need more patrolling, and we definitely need more resources. So that is our plan, because a lot of the families out there have shown so much concern, and we are listening to you. We know that we need to add more resources, more patrolling at all hours of the night and early morning.
And what are some of the issues or policies that have come out that are near and dear to your heart? I mean, the Liberals announced their platform yesterday, costed platform. So what are you advocating for? What's near and dear to you?
So as an educator and as a small business owner, I am planning to advocate for a lot of our children. Online education was a disaster. Our reopening plans and closing plans have created a lack of structure, a lack of support for our students. You can't tell a student one day they're going to school and then one day they've got to set up online and sit in their living room or home. A lot of parents did not have the resources or the ability to support an online classroom. We have to remember that as well. There were lots of issues with Wi-Fi connection. There were lots of issues with school supplies. A lot of parents had to go to work. They cannot leave their children at home. So this plan was actually a disaster for our students, and we need to make sure that we are providing support to you and your children. So we are going to be hiring 10,000 new teachers, mental health support in our schools so that our children feel safe to talk to someone. We will be investing in rebuilding and renovating our schools because lots of them are run down. We will be capping schools class sizes to 20 students per class. And I think that especially is going to help a lot of students get that one-on-one attention to rebuild their foundations that they lost during online schooling.
You're an educator by trade as well. So
Yes.
how was this pandemic period different, and for the students that you serve?
It was a huge adjustment, I would say. I would say it was an adjustment for the parents, for the students, and also for us as a small business. We were not able to support as many students as we would have liked. And again, I think we needed to support these students because they lost a lot of foundations. Like long division cannot be taught online. Students need to see the steps. They need to see how the teacher gets the answer, and not just looking at the final answer. A lot of students also learn so differently. Some are visual learners, some are listening learners. So we need to make sure that, when we were teaching students, we were actually taking the strategy that they learned through and helping them apply it when they're in the online classroom, and helping them when they do their homework. Homework submission, I found, was a huge problem. A lot of parents didn't know that assignments were due, or students didn't know how to upload their assignments or how to hand it in. There was lots of miscommunication that hurt a lot of students. They didn't know how to deliver their tests. Sometimes their computers would shut down while giving a test, and it would cause them a lot of anxiety and stress. So we really needed to support our students during this pandemic. So as a small business owner and as an educator, I just want to let our community know that we've heard your concerns, and we will be taking them to Queen's Park. We will be addressing them in debates with the Conservative candidate, and we will be showing the community that we are listening and we have a solution for these issues.
The previous government was a PC-led government, but Brampton East was an NDP-led riding on a local level. How is the Liberal are going to do anything different when it comes to the PCs as well as the NDP? That seems to be a Brampton East seat for the NDP.
Of course. I think standing up in question period is one way of doing things, but actually going to policy. Policy is what makes many changes in government. We need to be bringing forward policies that bring resources to the riding, which I think the Conservative government has not yet quite understood. And I think our NDP government is a little passive on the, our NDP leader, or member of provincial parliament, is a little bit more passive on. I think we need results now. I think people are tired of waiting. So I think right now, I believe that we should be pushing these policies forward right away. So hiring 10,000 teachers is maybe something that the NDP could have brought up, but they did not. So these are shortcomings that I have personally seen throughout the pandemic that has motivated me to run in this election, because it doesn't seem like my member has many solutions for these problems, but has time to make a TikTok about certain issues that are not helping us directly in our community. So it's really important right now that we focus on what the community actually needs. Right now, our current Conservative government, they are more invested in a highway versus actually renovating and rebuilding our schools. So the priorities of this government and the Liberal government are completely opposite, and we just want to make sure that we are here to support the community when rebuilding after COVID.
The PC-led party by Doug Ford and Andrew Horwath, the NDP leader, have come to Brampton specifically since the campaign has launched and talked about building hospitals and infrastructure and housing and affordability. What is the Liberal plan for Brampton specifically?
So before we start on that, I hope you remember that in our 2017 and 2018 budget by the Liberal government, we actually suggested a booster shot for all of our healthcare workers and our buildings, our William Osler, Brampton Civic Hospital, and Peel Memorial Hospital. We provided funding in 2018 that the Ford government canceled as soon as he was elected. So it's so important that we remember that we had 320 beds canceled in 2018 that could have helped us in this pandemic. So if Doug Ford is coming to our riding now in 2022 with a new plan to build our hospitals, we had a plan in 2018 that was canceled. I think that's the most important message that we have to remember. If he's giving us a false promise, a false hope right now that he is going to build beds and build a hospital here, he's really misleading our community, because in 2018, if he had just given us our funding for our hospital, for our healthcare workers, these beds, we would have been more prepared for the pandemic. Remember that this is a premier who called us a COVID hotspot in Brampton, and he did not provide us with any COVID vaccines. He He did not provide any healthcare funding. He couldn't provide any emergency healthcare funding or beds to support our hospital. Our hospital was crushed. I talk to healthcare workers every day at the door, and they feel devastated. They have lost hope and faith. And a lot of nurses, due to Bill 124, have left and gone to practice in other provinces. They are not currently practicing right now. We have a shortage because of the Ford government's shortcomings. And now he's come to our riding in an election year, in an election period, to tell us that he's going to rebuild. I think this is a false claim that he's making, and I don't think that we should be taking it very seriously, because we have seen what he's done in a pandemic. You cannot label our people a hotspot, give us a bad name, and then not provide us the support that we need. I think that's the messaging that we really need to understand, that he wasn't there for us when we really needed it, when our COVID cases were really high, when our Amazon and Maple Lodge factory workers needed support. So again, I think that's a really false claim, and I don't plan on. I think our plan is more important, because we plan on hiring 100,000 healthcare workers. The Liberal government will be providing that funding that we offered in 2018 and more to make up for the pandemic. So I think these are the issues and the policies that we are actually trying to provide results right now, not false promises.
You brought up the 2017 budget and the 2018 when it was the Wynne government.
Yes.
And in that election in 2018, Kathleen Wynne had talked about a university in Brampton, which did not occur. And since Stephen Del Duca is the leader now and he launched his election platform, university was not on the agenda for Brampton. As an educator and a Bramptonian and a resident, are you planning on advocating for that? Of
course. And again, I'm so happy that you asked this question, because again, in 2018, we had $500 million secured for the Brampton University, which was a Ryerson and Sheridan College merger. So you could do a degree and diploma program. We had $500 million secured. And it took us a couple years to get that merger and that deal and that funding that Doug Ford, once again, it was one of the first things he canceled as becoming premier. So we have to remember again that this Ford government has canceled this $500 million that would have helped a lot of students who commute every day out of Brampton to go to school. And we could have provided them with lots of programs. Now, where Doug Ford is saying he's going to turn it into a medical school. Again, how would you turn a university into a medical school? We need more than just a medical school. We need a diverse amount of programs, because not every student is going to become a doctor. There are students who are passionate about accounting, finance, psychology. So we need to provide a vast majority of diverse programs, not just a medical school. And again, we don't have the beds. So how would resident students or resident physicians fill and fulfill their medical degree? There's not really a plan that comes with that, but I will be advocating for the university. I will be advocating for all the programs that Ryerson and Sheridan College offer, and we will bring that back to the table for sure.
We saw strategic voting in previous federal elections as well as in the last provincial election, where people essentially, the Liberals and the NDP usually share a voter base on the left of center. And that was, if that's the case, how do you plan on differentiating, your message at the doors for the Liberal Party versus the NDP, which does have 3 seats in Brampton, as well as, of course, the PCs that have 2 seats. So when it comes to the NDP, differentiation, what's the strategy there?
I don't really think we need to differentiate from the NDP. I think we've seen what they have done in opposition. I don't think they advocated for small businesses to stay open. They were not really pushing hard for education to be opened up. There was no real plan to help a lot of the community members. There's no clear plan, I would say. I don't think we need to really differentiate or talk about strategic voting, in my opinion, because I think during this pandemic, we saw a lot of families struggle. We saw seniors struggle. We saw small businesses struggle. I don't think this is a plan on strategic voting. I don't even think strategic voting is on the top of anyone's mind at this point. I think voters are going to vote for the platform that best suits their families' needs. Families have gone through thick and thin. They've been dragged through the mud during this pandemic. So I don't think strategic voting is going to be a priority, but I do believe that families will vote for the platform that works best for them. And I do believe that the Liberal platform is one that is working towards getting families, getting children, getting seniors and small businesses back on track.
Any final words to our audience who are listening to you and want to know more about you?
So my name is Jannat Garewal. Again, I am your Brampton East candidate for the Ontario Liberal Party. I hope that you guys would support me on June 2nd. We have a very important election. I plan on advocating for education, healthcare, and small businesses in our community. It is time to bring resources that help our community to the ground in Brampton East. Our office is located on 7 Sunpack Boulevard, Unit 5, and please, you are always welcome to come to our office to chat with us, help us canvass, door knock, and phone calls. We need as much support from the community as we can get, so I hope to see you at my campaign office, and you can contact me anytime at 647-532-1415. Thank you very much.
Thank you for joining us today in
Thank
studio.
you so much. I really appreciate the time that you gave me today.
Absolutely. That was an exclusive interview with Jannat Garewal. I'm Ramona Singh, and this was Y Media.